Open neural tube defects. Some important information. Spina bifida cystica is also known as spina bifida manifesta. If the cyst is clear, meningocele. If the cyst is not clear and has blue or black markings, meningomyelocele. Neural tissue present. Next topic, development of ventricles. Ventricles are open spaces within the CNS that contains the CSF. CSF, it is the ultrafiltrate of blood secreted by choroid plexus. Neural tube has three primary vesicles: prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon. Prosencephalon forebrain, mesencephalon midbrain, rhombencephalon hindbrain. Forebrain develops into telencephalon, diencephalon. Hindbrain divides into metencephalon, myelencephalon. Telencephalon divides into cerebral hemispheres, basal ganglia, cranial nerve 1. Diencephalon develops into thalamus, hypothalamus, subthalamus, epithalamus, retina, cranial nerve 2, optic nerve. Brainstem is formed by midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, cranial nerves 3 to 12. Lateral ventricles. They are ventricles of cerebrum, one on each side. They are largest of all ventricles, filled with largest amount of CSF. They have most of the choroid plexus, the capillary plexus that forms the CSF. Third ventricle. It is a midline ventricle. It is sandwiched between the two thalami. Cerebral aqueduct of Sylvius. It is the midline ventricle of the midbrain. It connects the third ventricle with the fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle. It is the midline ventricle of hindbrain, lying partly in the regions of pons and partly in the regions of medulla. It is a diamond-shaped ventricle. Pons and upper part of medulla are present on the floor anteriorly. Cerebellum forms the roof of fourth ventricle posteriorly. It contains into the lower medulla as the central canal, which continues further down into the spinal cord. Choroid plexus majorly forms the CSF in the lateral ventricle, but it also forms CSF in third and fourth ventricle. CSF escapes from the roof of fourth ventricle into the subarachnoid space through the following foramen: Magendie foramen in the midline, Luschka foramen, one on either side of Magendie foramen. After the CSF comes into the subarachnoid space, the CSF is absorbed by the dural venous sinus through the arachnoid villi. During the cephalocaudal folding, the stride neural tube also folds and some part of the brain becomes C-shaped. This also occurs because the brain has to develop in a limited space of cranial cavity. Hence, the brain bends and becomes spherical. Cerebral hemisphere also becomes C-shaped. Therefore, the lateral ventricles also become C-shaped. Lateral ventricle develops some horns: anterior frontal horn, posterior occipital horn, inferior temporal horn. Choroid plexus is found mostly in the lateral ventricles. Though it is partly present in the third and fourth ventricles, it forms the CSF. The CSF is the ultrafiltrate of the blood. Flow of CSF. Lateral ventricles, third ventricle, cerebral aqueduct of Sylvius, fourth ventricle, central canal. Structures that become C-shaped. Thalamus is the axis around which various structures are becoming C-shaped. These structures are cerebellum, fornix, hippocampus ending a C-shaped axon collection, choroid plexus, caudate nucleus, which is a part of basal ganglia, corpus callosum. Commissures, anterior commissure. It is the first commissure to develop. It connects the right and left side of brain. For example, olfactory bulb of two sides are connected via anterior commissure. Fornix. It is the second commissure to develop. It is a C-shaped collection of axons. It connects the hippocampus on either side with each other. Corpus callosum. It is the third commissure to develop. It connects right side of cerebral lobes to left side.